Now it appears some of you seem to be getting the mission, vision, values, goals still kind of mixed up. So once and for all, I want you to get this straight, and we'll do this the old-fashioned way. So you can see I've labeled it from 1 to 7, right? So these are all sequential steps. You start with the action plan, then you go to the tactical plans, then the strategy, then the goals, the values, the mission, and finally the vision. Now there are no shortcuts to this process, right? These are all sequential steps. You cannot jump steps. So the vision, which is right on top, so this is the future state the organizations want to be. So it's like a guiding star for the organization. So let's take the famous example, Tesla. Tesla wants to create the most compelling car of the 21st century, in terms of electric vehicles. So what are they trying to say literally? They're trying to literally move the automobile industry towards sustainability and innovation. Now the mission statement is like, what is the organization? What is their purpose of existence? Whom do they serve, and what is the purpose? So this will clearly define the objectives, the purpose, and the primary function of the organization. Take Google, for example. What is their mission? So they want to make sure that information is readily accessible and is useful to people. Next is values. So this is the principles, the stands, the norms that actually build the culture of the organization. So here the behavior of the employees, their beliefs, and the culture will be reflected very clearly. Next we have goals. Now these should be measurable and attainable and should be aligned with the rest. So, you can't have a goal that's not attainable. Something that's attainable and measurable, that's very important. So something like this, to have 500 outlets by the year 2024. Right? So that would be a goal statement that's attainable, achievable, and research has been done to ensure that it's feasible and achievable. And that would be a goal statement, to have 500 outlets by 2024. Right. So the next is strategy, and this is very important because we've got to make sure that this is flexible enough, dynamic enough, right? So it's got to be adaptable, very important. So we have external forces, internal environmental factors, all these have to be handled by the strategy. So our strategy cannot be rigid, it's got to be very flexible, adaptable, and then apply to any scenarios. So this has to be very well crafted. Right, so let's take an example for strategy. Let's say you are in one country and you want to shift your operations, maybe open up a restaurant in a different country. Now, are you going to have the same menu there in that country? Obviously not. Why? Because the taste and the culture is different. So you've got to accommodate that. By accommodating to the locals' accustomed tastes, varieties or styles or whatever it may be, you are adapting a strategy there. Right? So you are changing your strategy based on the geographic location. Next we have the tactical plans. So it's like the restaurant we are talking about. You might launch a specific marketing campaign in that specific area that you're trying to launch your restaurant. Right? So you can see this tactical plan is very confined to that area only. It's not a generic one, it's a very specific, tailored to that audience. So the tactical plan will describe the specific actions required to implement a strategic plan. Finally, we have the action plan. These are the specific tasks that are performed to carry out the tactical plans. Now you can see the action plans have performance metrics. So that means the action plan will have a timeline linked to it, something like a Gantt chart. So the timeline is going to say, okay, what will you do in the first few weeks? What's going to happen in the balance few weeks? And then it's going to mention the amount of resources you need, right? How much of human capital, how much equipment you need, or the materials. This action plan would also have a RAM chart, for example, a responsibility assigned matrix, where people are assigned certain goals and responsibilities. So you would know what certain people would be assigned and what are their responsibilities. So taking our example on that marketing campaign for the restaurant, very clearly we can see with our action plan, it will clearly tell, okay, within the first few days or first week, these are the activities that should happen. During the second week, these are the next few activities that should happen. And then it will also clearly mention what are the responsibilities of the people involved in that team, how many teams are there. Certain teams will be allocated certain responsibilities and activities. And it will clearly mention how many people are required for those certain activities. And also it might go into lens of like, how many hours of input is required. What is the budget for each team to be allocated? So you can see these are very specific details and it's required to execute any action plan.